All through time, there've been poets, there was magic in their rhyme. They could share a sunrise.
So, welcome to another episode of Songwriter. I'm here today with the guy with the coolest nickname in the ACMA, Houseboat Jim. And we're going to get to know about Jim and tell us about your nickname to start.
Well, it's really pretty simple. I've lived on a houseboat for about 7.5 years. And a friend of mine was visiting from New York. And I have, to this day, no idea why or where it came from, but we were doing something, and he called me Houseboat Jim. Stop.
You know, I'm a little bit in awe of someone who ends up with a cool nickname, because I never got cool nicknames. I was like Leech the Leech or something like that, you know.
Yeah, well, I've been several other things, but we won't mention them now.
Yeah, kids don't make the best nicknames.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of worked out. I mean, at the time I was still, of course, living on the houseboat.
Right. So how was life on the houseboat?
Oh, I loved it. It was really nice living in the marina. A lot of like-minded people that you're dealing with. And so that made it really pleasant to be there.
I know there's some friends of ours who were on the island, and they had a little B&B, and they sold that, and now they live in the same marina. They did. Downtown, yeah.
It was really kind of a nice place to be.
Mm-hmm.
The restrooms were always clean. The shop was there. You know, you could go in and get coffee. If you lived there, you'd get free coffee.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a place to hang out. There was a little lounge, if you will. It was just some chairs and couches and the coffee pot, you know.
Right, so,
it was nice.
And plus you're closer downtown, I guess. If you were.
Oh, well, at the time, it was great because I was playing in 2 or 3 of the different places downtown. I just grabbed my guitar and walk on down. You know, it was 2 blocks away.
That's pretty sweet, yeah. So you decided to get out of the houseboat and you moved to North Fort Myers.
Yeah, ultimately, yeah. Well, I don't know how much we need, but I had a heart attack.
Oh.
And I decided I did not want to be in my cabin and have another heart attack and have the poor EMTs trying to get me down a companionway that was about this wide.
Right.
And, you know, I weighed 180 pounds.
Right.
And they're usually big enough to carry me, but not there. Then when we got into my salon, sliding door onto the walkway next to that, which was only about this wide, and then there's the water, and then to the forward deck, and then off the boat.
So you made column for a heart attack and die from drowning.
I kind of figured that they'd look at me and say, well, no, we'll just wait till he dies, and then we can drag him out.
Well, well, I'm glad you recovered.
Yeah. Fortunately, I didn't really know if I was having a heart attack, but I walked down to the store, to the main part of the marina. So when they showed up, they just drove in, hi there, away we went.
Yeah. Well, you know, you had the foresight to at least not just sit there and, you know, man up like we tend to do. And
well, I did for way too long. I did. They told me it had gotten pretty bad, but fortunately, just one stent, and I'm, knock on wood, reasonably fine.
Well, we're all happy that you came out of that occasion.
Yeah, thank you, and I'm very happy that it worked out. Of course, I probably wouldn't miss it if it hadn't. I would, you know, not know.
That's the thing when you know, we don't know what's on the other side.
Right.
So
Right.
There's no. It's opaque.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. So, how long have you been involved with the ACMA?
Wow. Well, let's see. I was in the marina for 7 years, 7 or 8 years. So I met Nita the first year, probably. I was there in the first year of the ACMA. I'm considered a founding member.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't one of the founders. I was just there at the right time. Saves me $5 a year on the sign-up fee.
Well, that sounds kind of similar to Mike McMillan's story too. Is that the impression I got from some people, because you know it was already kind of ongoing when a lot of people arrived, but it looked like it was. The perception was it had been going on for years.
Yeah.
So it was pretty well organized, well attended.
Yeah, the people that did the management of it, Nita, Bill Metz, people like that, Alice, you know, they did a real good job of keeping it fairly well organized.
Yeah. So were you there in the days when they had they were out of the storefront?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, I know that. And most people I talked to who were, they said they're kind of glad they don't have a venue to have to deal with anymore.
It was crude.
Yeah.
It worked. I mean, you know, it's kind of like a coffee house, except that it wasn't quite as neat because it wasn't set up that way.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it was nice to move out of there. Of course, where we are now in the church is really a great venue.
Everything works. Let's say clean bathrooms, chairs.
Yeah, right. Little kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, and so those of you who are, if you're watching this and don't really know much about the ACMA, the All Faiths Church up here, kind of near downtown.
It's on McGregor,
Yeah, McGregor. That they, the ACMA hosts the shows there, and they have the singer-songwriter circle there live when health conditions permit it.
Yeah,
It's gone back and forth a few times.
it certainly has lately.
Yeah. So let's start talking about music. When did you start playing?
Wow. Well, I was in the 2nd or 3rd grade, and I decided I wanted to play something.
Okay.
My mother said, okay, and talked to a music teacher, and so I ended up with a mandolin. So I took, I don't know how much, I learned, the last thing I remember learning was the barca roll, which I'm not an opera person, don't know anything about it, but that was what the teacher was teaching me.
Uh-huh.
So I could play that, it was a note for note, it wasn't chords. He didn't mention chords.
Uh-huh.
And then of course I stopped with that and went on to the accordion. We moved to a different neighborhood. And I played the accordion for like 3 years or so. So I learned how to read music, which I never use, but I know how.
Huh.
And then I decided, well, really, this is wonderful, love it, I like the sound, I'm going to learn to play the guitar. So I took guitar lessons for a while, and he taught me chords, but he didn't teach me that chords go together. He'd teach me, this is how you play an E, this is how you play a B flat. Well, okay, that's nice.
And
So my cousin got me started. He taught me C, A minor, F, G, 7th. Rock and roll. This was obviously in the middle 50s somewhere.
So were you playing an acoustic guitar then, or was this?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Although I did, I had a Harmony Rocket,
Okay.
electric. For a while, we had a little rock and roll band with 2 guitars, a sax, and a drummer. Real good drummer, considering he was probably 15,
Right. Yeah.
but he was good. And we had a lot of fun. We actually got a couple of gigs, and then I got involved in folk music, and we were playing around quite a bit. And then, of course, I did the old fatal thing as far as musical groups are concerned. I got married, and that kind of, you really need to have a regular job.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
yeah. That's the
okay.
other thing. Is a regular job is another thing that comes up.
Yeah.
As a band killer.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So, and then we moved to Texas, which made it, commuting would have been a real challenge. So, because we were playing in New York, played down in the village a lot and things like that.
So, and this was like a folk group.
Yeah, there were 4 of us. So I guess we'd call that a quartet, wouldn't we?
And so they were all guitar players, or?
Well, we played guitar, banjo, every now and then we'd throw in an auto harp, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have a mandolin player, which now is kind of normal.
Right.
A lot of people have.
And so you played around the village. You got some pretty good traction. I mean, probably obviously not enough to
Well, yeah.
not have to go get a job, right?
Or no, I was working. But it was a lot of fun, and we met some interesting people. It was really weird. I didn't meet a lot of the people that were down there at the same time that we were.
Right.
But I didn't really know who they were. I almost tripped over Mary one time when Peter, Paul, and Mary were at the bitter end. And one of my friends and I were there socially, not playing. And I was waiting for the restroom, and it's a little hallway, and the office is at the end of the hallway. So I'm standing there leaning against the wall, and here comes this little blonde girl. And my mental picture of Mary was real tall.
Yeah.
Well, in the real world, not many people look real tall to me.
Well, yeah, because you're pretty.
And
tall
so
guy.
this little cute blonde went by, and I just, okay, didn't even register who it was.
Mm.
My buddy Bob comes running back. Did you see Mary? Did you see Mary? No. Oh, that was Mary. Oh, okay.
It's funny. Do
Pete Seeger we did get to talk to quite a bit.
Do you know what Mary's last name is?
Travers.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's funny. I would just think, well, she's famous for the Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Yeah. No, I followed their career quite, and subsequently, of course, I've seen them several times and talked to them, in fact.
Yeah.
But only at their concerts. It was strictly one of those annoying people in the audience that talks to you after the show.
Well, when you play, if you're not like a big star, it's nice when people do that because at least someone was listening.
Yeah, right. Well, of course, by then they were, but still, most of the people that I talked to like that were very pleasant.
Mm.
There was one that was unpleasant. I won't mention what group it was, but I was very disappointed because it was one of my favorite groups.
Yeah.
But by and large, nice folks.
Yeah.
As a Pete Seeger was a really nice guy. Although he did steal a pen of mine. A little pin that came with the, when you have the little notepad,
Oh yeah.
and the pen comes with it. It's just a little, 12-cent pen. But my buddy, same guy that gave me the name Houseboat, wanted Pete's autograph. So we were in the back room of the bitter end talking to Pete. And he said, oh, sure. And he grabbed some piece of paper or something, Bob maybe had something. He said, anybody got a pen? So I gave him my pen. And then he neglected to give it back to me.
Yeah.
I never did catch up with him again to say, Pete, you owe me a pen.
Well, maybe he should have a nickname, Pen Stealing Pete, right?
Something like that, right. No, I was honored that he ended up using it, so I wish him a lot of luck with it,
So was that kind of, the highlight of your folk career? Was in New York, or did you pick up again in Texas?
Well, when I left New York, music kind of went by the way. We moved out to Texas for a while and bounced around into South Florida, but I didn't really get in the music scene when we were here at that time. Then moved out to Arizona and did a little playing around, not much. It was when I came back to Florida, to South Florida, that I really got heavily back into it.
Mm. And when was that?
12, 13 years ago.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
That's not to say I kept playing, of course, all that time,
Right.
but not out.
So when you were in New York, were you playing originals, or were you playing?
I've never been a prolific songwriter.
Yeah.
We did mostly covers,
Yeah.
and most of the people in not most, but a lot of the people in ACMA, they write songs like I breathe.
Well.
I write songs like, oh, there's an idea, there's a song, and then 2 years later, oh, there's an idea. Not very many songs,
Yeah.
but I do play a lot, and some people seem to like what I do. So, but I love the people I'm playing with, and the people I've met, of course, through the ACMA. It's a great bunch of folks.
That's the thing with you when you, because of your various instruments, that you can also, you're valuable in anybody's group, aren't you?
It works out well, yeah. People do say, Jim, can you back us up for so-and-so? Well, okay. I don't promote work. I don't go out and look for jobs because I've never been a salesman. I can't sell myself, let alone anything else. But if somebody asks, oh, okay, and I'll promote him.
So, of the songs you have written,
Yes.
Tell us about one.
Well, I wrote one that's here. I woke up feeling good.
Okay.
Just in a good mood, feeling very happy and good one morning back in 88? 98, no, 08. I can't read without my glasses. So anyway, yeah.
So I don't know how much good that sheet's going to do you then.
Yeah, right. Well, no, I can actually read the words if I lean back a little. But anyway, back in 08, I wrote this song, and it was because I woke up feeling good. It's called Feeling Good Today. And and it's a true story.
That's I think positive songs, especially in the day and age right now, are a good thing.
Typically, I try to write, gosh knows why, romantic type songs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, that's what I grew up on, the rock and roll era of the love songs and the dancing with the partner and all that sort of thing.
There's always room for
when I
love
was a teeny
songs.
bopper.
There's always room for love songs.
Oh yeah.
Although it seems to be one of these things that of course everybody can fall in love, but it's like it seems to be more the domain of the young.
They certainly do. Yes.
Yes, not that blinding love, if you will. All-consuming love.
Yes, the all-consuming situation.
And maybe the hormone-driven love.
You think? Maybe. Could be. But it's been great playing, and I just love doing it.
Yeah. Well, let's have you play a song.
Okay. Well, how about Feeling Good Today?
That sounds like a good one. It's up there on the old teleprompter, and
I just happen to have a guitar that's set up for it. If I can keep my foot up here. There we go.
the seat is adjustable if you really
Oh,
want
I
to.
know. Yeah. Like I said, I have exactly this chair, but mine's got a solid great cushion. Not fancy like this one.
Because I've got a pattern on it.
Yeah. All right, let's hope I can get through this. Last night stars are shining, I sure don't feel like whining. Gorgeous night can make you feel so good. Fire burning brightly, lots of friends nearby. A night like that can really make you high. Today is bright and sunny, golly ain't it funny how a pretty day can make you feel so good. It's a day for making music and dancing round and round. It's a day where lots of happiness can be found. Last night was oh so perfect, today is just the same. It's times like this that make you feel so good. The world is turning smoothly, the sun comes up each day. Let's spread some cheers as we go along our way. Tomorrow's waiting for us, let's hope it's filled with joy. Stuff like that make you feel so good. I think I'll write another song, sing it to the sky. It's all too good to feel like I can fly. I'm feeling good today, I'm singing and I play. A life like this can make you feel so good. I hope my life can stay like this for a long, long while. When it's done, I'll go out with a smile.
Like the little ending bit there, very nice, Jim. So you said that you just got up feeling good, and that song just happened.
It
Huh?
just popped out.
Yeah.
I mean, the run and everything just came from who knows where, but an hour later I was done.
Cool. So now you do the bare finger picking style. is it?
I do both. I use finger picks. I play a range song because it's got a better pickup than this does when I'm playing through an amp.
Uh-huh.
But this has a better acoustic sound.
Okay, right.
And I play them both either way.
Right.
But typically when I'm playing a range song, I use thumb pick and finger picks because at a gig I'm also playing the banjo. And so I'll grab the banjo and play with picks.
Oh,
There are
okay.
times when I play both with just bare fingers. Depends on the venue and the song.
I found sometimes if I'm like playing, because I have songs that when you're doing a capo and you're finger picking, you get a lot less volume out of your guitar compared to, a flat
Yeah.
pick or finger
And
pick.
I did an experiment, which I'm happy with. As I mentioned, I had that Harmony Rocket.
Mhm.
Yeah. And at the time, I had flat wound strings,
Okay.
which are really nice.
Right,
they
like
slide.
electric guitars and things, yeah.
So I bought some, just tried this 6 months ago, some flat wounds for this, and now I've got them on two of my guitars, this one and the rain song.
So you don't get the
They're a
sleeping
lot more
noise.
muted,
Right.
or subtle, or whatever you want to call it, than regular strings. They're not as bright. But I'm not a loud player to start with, and they just seem to fit what I'm doing, and I like them, and they last forever, and they stay clean because there's nothing to trap the dirt.
I kept
the grooves.
doing a double take on your guitar because it almost sounds like a nylon string guitar.
Almost, which
I
I
think-
played classical guitar for a long time.
With the combination of, I think, the bare skin, so you don't get the brightness from the picks,
Right.
and I guess the wind on the strings.
Yeah,
So,
it does make a difference.
yeah, interesting. A little easier on your fingers, too?
Perhaps a little bit, particularly if you slide something.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And it's like, I know, especially, things you notice when you record yourself, is one is like sleeving noise.
like what?
Sleeving noise in your
Oh.
fingers on the,
Sure.
on the, kind of grinding on the strings.
Mhm.
And I know that's one of the things about the flat wings, is flat wounds just don't give you that kind of,
Right.
it's almost having looped strings.
Yeah, it's right.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm very happy with them.
So what did you do for a living?
Well, I had two main occupations. I was an electrician, industrial. I worked on big motors and conveyor systems and
Okay.
that kind of thing. And I was a process engineer on microelectronics, assembling, transistors or the ICs, whatever, anything like that. I was always in the manufacturing end. I've said for years I could build you a transistor from a handful of sand and some aluminum, but I don't know how to wire it.
So
I'm not an electronics person, but I know how to build them.
okay, so a process engineer, so you kind of ran the machines that assembled the.
Well,
equipment, or-
I ran the people that ran the machines, yeah.
Oh, okay, right.
I worked for Motorola and then several other outfits that did, various types, Medtronic,
Okay.
places like that.
Yeah, because that was electrical engineering is one of my skill sets.
Sure,
And I did some assembly using it as a prototype stage. We were, little companies.
Of course, yeah, but I didn't do any breadboarding because I didn't know how they worked.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just know, oh, you want a transistor and it goes here? Fine, I'll put it here and I'll put wires on it and pack it up and there you go.
One thing I learned early on is if you get a really good electronic assembler, you have a whole lot less troubleshooting than if I'm the one doing it.
Oh,
Because,
yeah.
and as you get older and your eyes get worse, the parts get smaller and smaller, which is a little awkward.
Yeah, because in my world, everything we did was through a microscope,
Yeah,
so it really kind of helped.
yeah. And a lot of the people who in the end of my
Right.
career were doing that.
Or the magnifying glass, depending on what you're working on, if it's not that.
Yeah. And so when you changed location, did you change careers? When you moved to Arizona
Well,
or Florida? Or?
Usually it was a case of, okay, here I am working at Motorola, for example, and I transferred out to Phoenix with Motorola. I was working in Fort Lauderdale. And 6 months later, they had this huge layoff. The people that had me moved got laid off. Needless to say, I did too. I only had about 3 years with them, so. But the next job I got was still in microelectronics, back in Orlando, Florida, from Arizona back to Florida. But then a friend of mine was working for Florida Power Corporation. They needed a mechanic, electrical mechanic type. I didn't do diesel engines, but I knew how to hook up a big motor and that sort of thing. So I went to work for Florida Power for a while. And I worked in mines and things of that nature, open pit. I was never a down in the hole miner.
Yeah.
That would make me nervous. I don't think I'm claustrophobic, but it would make me nervous to be under, 1,000 million zillion tons of rock. I liked swimming. I liked hiking and camping and being out in the wilderness. I had 35 acres in Arizona. I used to go. My house and property bordered on the national forest.
Mm-hmm.
I could walk all day and never see a person. Saw a lot of elk and deer and things of that nature.
So where were you in Arizona?
Well, north of Phoenix, outside of a town called Show Low.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, okay. If you know where Show Low is, it's
Yeah,
in the
it's got
White Mountains.
It's a mountain. Then because my dad lived in Arizona until recently and moved him, and I've driven from Colorado to Arizona a lot.
Okay.
To go through Shiloh. But last time I was up there, they had all these signs that the national forest was closed. This was
I'm
early in the
sure.
season because the fire risk out there is just
Yeah.
so extraordinary.
Yeah, I was there for one nasty fire. In fact, it was the worst one they'd had up until this mess in California recently.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
It was a pretty bad fire. We actually had to evacuate. The fire never got close to my house, but we were evacuated, and it was just as well because I was just on the verge of COPD, and I couldn't breathe worth a darn. The smoke was really bad.
That it's so sometimes you sit here and you think, people say, why do you live where there's hurricanes? We get the red tide and the
Right.
other algae,
Yeah.
air quality and all that kind of stuff.
Or tornadoes, or earthquakes.
Right, but
or forest
there's
fires.
always something. Always
Yeah,
something. Because we were in
right.
Colorado this summer. I was there to train.
Right.
Well, see my dad and train for a bicycle ride, and I had to go and drive a few hours to get away from where the smoke was because it's like
Yeah.
I smoked when I was in college. I quit a long time ago, and I don't need to take it up in the air.
Yeah. I was still smoking at the time that I lived in that fire.
Mm.
But I quit about 5 years ago, and I'm sure glad I did. And I finally learned, because I'd quit several times, most smokers do, and something would always trigger it. One cigarette, you're hooked. You're just like an alcoholic.
Yeah,
You can't
yeah.
have that first drink.
Yeah.
I finally got it through my fat head, don't have the first cigarette. So it doesn't bother me if other people are smoking,
Yeah.
as long as I don't pick up that first cigarette. If I did, I'd start smoking again today.
And there's psychology there too. A lot of times, you can put yourself in the mind that you are now a non-smoker.
Absolutely.
So it would be as alien as you to pick up a cigarette as if you had never had one before and tried to pick one up.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and they say too a lot of times in an event, like was this
Yeah.
is this concurrent with your diagnosis of COPD?
No, it was just, well, actually what happened several times, but I was coughing so bad, I just said to myself, you probably really ought to quit.
Yeah,
And this time I did and made it stick.
yeah,
But the last time I had quit, before that, I used to sit out, we had a garage carport thing where I worked, and a friend of mine and I always were there early. And we'd sit down and have a cup of coffee, read the paper, do the crossword puzzle, something like that, and shoot the bull. And he was a smoker, and
Yeah.
I had quit at the time. One morning I just said, hey Nick, let me have a cigarette. And you know, smokers do not deny other smokers a cigarette. So he gave me a cigarette and I smoked it. And I was good for 2 days. Then I had another one, and then the next day I bought a pack.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I was back to normal.
yeah.
It's that easy to fall back into it.
And I think that nicotine addiction is certainly strong, but I don't think it compares to like opioids. You know,
From what I've heard, yeah.
yeah,
It's supposed to be really close because it's hard to quit.
yeah.
But
And I think smoking. There's two different things about it. One is the nicotine,
Yeah.
and some people are more addicted to that than others. The other is the habit.
yeah, the
After
things
a
you go
meal
through.
or whatever, you're just gonna
Yeah.
And it's also you if you're working, and
Oh.
you justify taking a break
Good
because
break,
you need a cigarette,
break
right?
reason, right? Gotta have smoke.
Yeah, you're not gonna just go out and stand outside for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
You
that
know.
always seemed kind of dumb.
Yeah,
Smoke that cigarette.
yeah. Well, there's a lot of songs about smoking.
Oh yeah.
So let's move on to another song.
Oh, well, we can probably do that. How about we do my parody, or whatever you want to call it, of Winter Wonderland.
Okay.
If I can get these pages to separate just as a cue for me.
Because we're
It's the season.
this will be a little while before this comes out.
Oh, good.
There's a little
Closer
bit
to
of
Christmas.
closer to Christmas, and so
Perfect.
the song will be apropos. But right now we are suffering through a nasty cold front. It's
Yeah.
barely gonna be in the 70s today. I mean,
I heard it might even hit 80.
really. Well,
Yeah, okay. So, Winter Wonderland, Southern style. Guitars ring, are you listening? At the beach, the waves are glistening. It's 80 degrees, there's an offshore breeze, walking in a winter wonderland. Might I say, if not too cold, it's better here than in the cold. We dance and we sing as you will next spring. We're living in a winter wonderland. In the sand we can build a castle and pretend that you're the royal queen. We'll serve you well and never cause a hassle, as long as we are wearing our sunscreen. Here I am, I'm retired, and I feel so inspired. It really is nice, no snow and ice, living in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is the snowbird. He'll sing and he'll play, stay here till May, here in our southern wonderland. And the bar will build a margarita, and we'll sit and watch the sun go down. There's a girl in here I'd really love to meet her. I'd like to take her walking through the town. Winter days will soon be over, northern oil fields will fill with clover. So let's all drink a beer, we'll see you next year, here in our southern wonderland. Living in a southern wonderland, a very sunny southern wonderland.
there you go. I think every Florida songwriter has to have a rub it in your face that we're not shoveling snow song.
Yeah, exactly.
So you were married? You are married?
Well, that's kind of a standing joke with the next song. I've been married 3 times.
Okay.
I am not presently married. I have no plans of being presently married again. Not that I have anything against girls, I just don't want to get married again. I'm really very happy living in my own little world.
Yeah.
I would like to know some people where I could go out to dinner and things like that. Work was the place to find women, I found out.
Yeah, okay.
I was never a lounge lizard, you know, I'd pick up girls in the bar and that kind of thing. But get to know people, become friends, and then the next thing you know, you're going out for dinner, whatever, and you start dating. Then you marry them, and then they throw you out. And no, not really. We actually, with all three of my ex-wives, we divorced amicably, and we're still friends.
That's got kids?
Yeah, two, had three. One passed away. One's living in Texas, my oldest, and my daughter lives up in Claremont, Florida,
Okay.
with their families. And they're doing a lot better than I did. My son's still married, my daughter's still married, their kids are, you know, through college or working. And so,
Well, you know.
it worked out for them, good for them, you know.
Yeah, my dad had, you know, my mom and dad split up when I was young, and I don't know if that
Yeah.
cemented something in me that I didn't want to do that.
Probably had the same effect on my kids.
But that was not
Good, bad, or indifferent, but I'm glad they're making it.
that was not an amiable split.
Oh, well,
Any
that's too
stretch of
bad.
the imagination, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't exactly dancing when we separated, but we regained the friendship that we had because we had a lot of good years,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
three of us.
Well, you
Not
know,
together.
yeah, that would have been another story.
Yeah, right. That's,
So yeah, well, you know, I mean, that's important to do that too, you know, because you obviously got together for a reason. So how long have you been single?
oh, now, blah, 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 blah.
Through
We
the
got
house.
divorced when we were living in Las Vegas. So 10, 14 years probably.
And did you leave Las Vegas
Well,
after the
I
divorce?
know, we got divorced and I was still working. I worked for International Game Technology.
Okay.
At the time, they were the slot machine manufacturer in the world. I mean, there were some overseas ones that were probably just as big, but we were considered the big one.
Right.
And now I understand they're practically non-existent. It's really sad. But I was working for them. We got divorced, and I stayed working. And I got old enough. I started collecting Social Security at 65. And I don't know. After about a year of that, I said, you know, I'm really ready to retire for real. So I left and hung around for a short time, short time. There, I had a house and put it on the market and moved to Florida because I love the mountains. Las Vegas is not where you go to live in the mountains, but you're close to mountains.
Yeah.
And I love the wilderness, but I also miss the ocean. I like to sail. My goal was to buy a sailboat to live on, but a sailboat big enough for me to live on with all my junk would be a lot more than most of the people that I know could
Yeah.
afford.
And I know there's some things that seem to take up a lot of space.
Oh.
Musical instruments, bicycles.
All that stuff just
Yeah.
it eats up room like it's going out of style.
Yeah.
So I ended up with a houseboat, which worked very well. It wasn't a very big houseboat, but there was room.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's good. Well, you know, and
works.
And you end up with a great nickname out of it too.
yeah, right. It was all some cosmic plan, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So you know, and I met Jim at the singer-songwriter circle. It was that was back in the early days. I think first when Bill Metz was running it.
Yeah, he ran it for quite a
Bruce
while.
was running it, and then kind of went through a few different hands.
Right.
But I remember my kind of a bit of a confession is being a little intimidated by Jim's voice because I used to have you have a very a very deep resonant kind of voice that
Well, it's getting higher since I quit smoking.
yeah, that's
I
funny.
can't hit those low notes anymore. Yeah, my favorite example is I used to do Folsom Prison Blues in open E. Now I have to do it in G or E capo 3. I can't sing it all the way down there anymore. I was married to my first wife and we were living in Texas, and at the time we were at my in-laws' house. I don't know if it was for a weekend or what, but I was trying to learn to play the banjo. I used the Pete Seeger How to Play the 5-String Banjo method. And there's a thing called a basic pick.
Okay.
It's an 8-beat pick.
So it's a picking pattern.
It is a finger picking pattern.
Okay.
Yes. And I chose the song Greenback Dollar as one that was easy chords, and it fit with a steady 8-beat pick. Great. I had the Hoyt Axton 45 record in my in-laws, we call it a Florida room, I don't know what they called it, but it was, you know, the room in the back of the house with the windows and all that stuff, so it was a nice place. And me and my little record player and my banjo. And I was playing like ding, 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 to Greenback Dollar. So I was playing, I finally, after a while, got to where I could play half time with the picking.
Okay.
The right speed would have been double that.
Right.
And after, I don't know how many weeks of doing that over and over and over, they probably still don't like the song. I got to where I could play it at speed.
Yeah, yeah.
But that had to have driven them insane.
I
But
think,
they were nice, they didn't say anything.
well, that's, you know, that's kind of an interesting point, because, you know, especially when you think about parents, right? I mean, if you go and get, you know, your little, you know, Jamie or Johnny a violin and get violin lessons, you know, or trumpet lessons, something, you know,
You put up with a lot of noise.
Yeah, yeah.
Guitar's a lot more mellow if you're learning to play something.
I think my parents were disappointed when I was, you know, it was recommended that I learn piano, and I wanted to take up the drums instead.
Ah,
So my poor, long-suffering parents. So.
in retrospect, I wish I had been smart enough to take piano lessons, because you learn music
Yes,
playing the piano. I still now, thanks to the accordion, at least the right hand works,
you're right.
so I can relate to the keyboard, so I picture the notes in my mind, if you will, and I know where they are on the guitar. So it makes life a lot easier to think of how it works.
And I think that I agree completely. I kind of wish in hindsight I would have learned the piano. But the other thing about playing the drums is at least it gave me a sense of rhythm.
Oh, yeah.
Be able to mimic rhythm, you know, to play along with someone's lead, you know.
Sure.
You know, someone's playing,
Yeah.
to match someone's rhythm so they can go play lead, like I do with Mike a lot, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a pretty useful thing to have.
Yeah, I'm
and,
sure.
and I know people like I admire, like, you know, Roy Schneider. He was a drummer first.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so, you know.
Yeah.
But then, you know, I'm sure like me is that when you're moving into an apartment and they see you moving in a set of drums, you kind of get the stink eye. And
Oh,
you,
that.
you can set your neighbors off on the wrong
Right.
foot pretty quickly. So were you involved with Hope by Song?
Initially, I was involved a little bit, but first of all, of course, as we mentioned, I'm not a prolific songwriter.
Yeah, that's what that's all about.
And a lot of the stuff that the people that they were involved with were turning in was too serious. I could not have sung some of the songs that they had written without just falling apart in the middle of the song.
Yeah.
There's so much emotion involved, and it's cathartic for the people that are doing it, and apparently it does help. It's really quite a thing that they do.
You know, one thing that people who write a few songs that, you know, most people I've talked to, you go through a bit of a pattern where when you're first writing songs, you write about you. They're autobiographical, things that you know directly.
Right.
And then eventually you kind of either run out of stuff or you get bored with it. So you try to write a song where you're empathetic about somebody, like we talked about, you know, cigarettes. I mean,
Yeah, right.
You know, you could write a song about addiction because that is an addiction.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like, you know, like it's not like heroin or
Fortunately.
maybe, you know,
Yeah,
some
never got
alcoholism.
involved with that.
But you know, it's something that you could, you know, leverage and to understand that, you know,
Yeah.
at a stage and you go down the road. But again, that's another serious subject. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
'cause I've known more people who died from, the only people I've ever known really that have died from an overdose have been people I've known in Florida in the last, you know, 10, 11 years.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so you got, you wanted this, now this is a song about, you said,
This turns out to be a love song.
okay.
It wasn't originally going to be a love song. It's about a guy who feels like he can't communicate with the object of his affection. Now, when I wrote it, I was not thinking of myself. Never been a problem. You can check with my 3 ex-wives. They'll back me up on this 100%. But it's called I Don't Have the Words.
So you mean like being tongue-tied? Or is it a deeper, like, lack of
It's like
connection?
you just can't express yourself. You feel like anyway. Turns out that that is not the theme of the song. It's a love song. Wasn't supposed to be.
So now you are doing, is that like a drop D kind of tuning raised up with the one capo?
It's a drop E.
Right, okay.
if you will. That's why I have two capos. I can do this up here and put the other capo two back and bar the whole fret
Oh, I see.
and get the same effect.
Yeah, because I know, that's one thing when you do a lot of alternating bass with your thumb on your picking, and when you do it a D chord and you don't have that, then it's
miss it.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of strings you can really just hit open through your thumb. So
When you do though, you have to be careful when you're playing your A not to hit it.
because it comes out sour, yeah.
It's a D, it's not in an A chord. So, it is called I Don't Have the Words. This one was written in 2015. Says so right there.
It must be true.
Okay, here we go. All through time, there have been poets. There was magic in their rhyme. They could share a sunrise or the starlight in the winter time. When it came to affairs of the heart, their feelings they could explain. But I never was a poet. I have no word to see. I'm just saying that I love you. I hope that you love me. Many years, songs have been sung. It's all been said before. Diamond stars in the sky, the moonlight on the ocean shore. Tales of love that last and last, perhaps for eternity. But I never was a singer. I have no word to see. I'm just saying that I love you. I hope that you love me. Writers, they give us stories of dreams and great plans, of dragons and heroes in many far-off lands. The pictures that we see in books are wonders to behold. But I never was a writer. I have no word to see. I'm just saying that I love you. I hope that you love me. I'm not a poet, nor a singer, a writer I can't be, but I will always love you. I hope that you love me.
So that song was only from 2015, because I remember you playing that in the Songwriter Circle when I was first going to that.
I probably did.
Yeah.
That's when I wrote it. I was inspired by the songwriting circle to write a song.
Uh-huh.
That's what slithered out.
It's a nice song. That song, of all the ones you've done, that one really shows off your voice the most. That's probably the one that I was talking about where he's a little intimidated by your voice, because it really is, and you also have you have a style. You have your own brand, if you will, how you perform.
I guess I've never really tried to put it together. It's just what comes out.
That's probably why it works.
Strictly natural.
You
Yeah.
know, if you tried to force it,
Oh, yeah,
probably wouldn't work.
yeah.
So
Anyway, yeah, I don't know how to look happy when I'm not. That's my not happy face.
yeah, I know it's like, you know, I find too that when I'm thinking, I'm not necessarily smiling. It seems like, you know,
When I'm performing, I have to say to myself, "Smile, you idiot!" I don't smile. I'm concentrating into the song.
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of times I'll be on stage like this, because I'm just way into the song, and then I lose track of where we are, and okay, it's terrible. The biggest thrill to me was when some people sang along with that.
Yeah, it's a really nice one. That's the song when I
But
think of you.
fortunately, it didn't throw me off.
Right. But when I think of you, that's what I think of.
Oh,
You know,
well, cool. I really kind of like the song myself.
that's good. Well, you know, it's good to be known for
Yeah.
something. You know,
Yeah.
that's something positive like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right. So that pretty much wraps it up. I don't know if you have anything else you want to add last minute here.
I've kind of run out of things to say. Probably got me to talk more than I talk most of the time.
Okay, well, once again, thanks to Jim for coming down. It's a beautiful day. You give you after
It
lots
is,
of fun
it
things.
is.
But I'm glad you came here and had a little chat with me.
It's really been great to be here.
So, you know, the ACMA Songwriting Circle is going on. Check the website, which you can see after this. I'll put it up. And see what kind of shows are going on. You know, there are some, we're talking about doing indoor
They're
shows.
starting up again slowly, but
Yeah.
they're starting back up.
And there are lots of outdoor shows. There are Lines for the Arts. There's the Plaza shows downtown.
Mhm.
So there's lots of things. If you really want music, even if you want to be very safe and be outdoors, there are plenty of places, and it's a beautiful time to be outdoors in Florida.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
So, okay, thanks again to Jim.
I was in quarantine when I heard the news on my computer screen that there was no